Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. It is Saturday, April 15th. Today, I am going to read on an older subject, but one I've been wanting to follow up on for a while, and that's Mike Pence and the fly. We all know what I'm talking about. When you see the thumbnail of the video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. During the vice presidential debate, a fly landed on Mike Pence's hair and stayed there for like a couple of minutes on national TV. It was captivating, gross, but seemingly very apropos. And I want to find out from Spirit what was the meaning behind that message. What was the message? It was clearly a sign. And in order to read, and Mike Pence has been on my mind and bothering me recently, because he had, just sort of going back a little bit, on January 6th, he did the right thing. The bar was low, but he did the right thing to make sure that the transfer of power occurred. And on January 7th, he could have, should have called the cabinet together and invoked the 25th Amendment against President Trump. It was evident that was an insurrection, and it was done against the government of the United States, and he was unfit for duty at that point. There was only 2 weeks that basically elapsed between then and when President Biden took over. He needed to go, and Pence had his opportunity to do that and chose not to. And I covered this in a previous reading. That was his best shot at being president. And then he seemingly still wants to be president, and he will compromise whatever political capital, goodwill capital, moral justice that he might have had at that moment. He flushed it for the desire to be the president of the United States. His window was a 2-week window from January 7th through January 20th, just as a caretaker for that office. He didn't take it. He wants to run and be elected. Ain't never going to happen. But that fly during that debate was just amazing. So I pulled out a bit of amber with plant material and insects in it, because that will go on the table along with the other crystals I have. I burnt a little extra Palo Santo on this one. And as an extra special treat, I'm pulling out my Torino deck. It's an Italian deck from the early 1900s. I believe the artwork is by Alessandro Viassone. And what's the date on this one? 1928, if you want to see what the deck looks like. And these cards are not decorative. They're very simple in their artwork. And I use this deck when I want a very harsh black and white answer to a question. I haven't used it often. But Lena Rodriguez has her Thoth deck that she uses for this. And this is my deck that represents that. And Lena, dear, if you're in the Bay Area, I know you're traveling, you'll be going to Hawaii. If you're in the Bay Area, I want to hook up. Girl, we can have some fun to do. And what did we get with that one? We get the 5 of Cups. Disappointment, David. Okay, well, maybe next time. I'll reach out to her. I'll see what's happening with that one. Okay, then again, it might fall under the don't meet your heroes because you might be disappointed. I don't think that's going to be the case with Lena. I think what we've seen on camera is what we see behind the scenes too. Okay, so Mike, Spirit, I'm going to ask you about the sign that was shown during the vice president debate back in 2020 with the fly that landed on Mike Pence. What can you tell me about that? For entertainment purposes only. We'll be entertained. Okay, what did we get? We get the Page of Coins. And we're going to cross that with the Star card. Okay, so Page of Coins is going through with a message. So the insect was a message. I think we understood that. And then the Star card, about hopes and hopelessness, faith and faithlessness, about the dichotomy, again, the high energy and low energy of of the star card. It made Mike Pence a star. Everybody was talking about him, but actually the real star was the fly, because the fly stole the show. And that fly had a message. That message might have been to young people too. Let's see. Okay, then what we have, we've got the Three of Wands in the past. Okay, so that was planning, putting a plan into action. I think that, this, in some ways, not that things happen accidentally, but Mike Pence was going down a certain path, or that administration was going down a certain path. And if they went down too far, this message was going to have to come through to us for all of us to see it. And certainly that's what happened. We had that message, that plan through. They could have changed course and not been as horrible as they were, but Lord knows, basically, if Trump and Pence had won that 2020 election, we would be in an authoritative government right now. We would not be in a functional democracy. Then we've got the what is this? Il penduto. This is the current situation. And good Lord, what is... This is the part that I run into here because I don't have my other deck. What is the 12th card? Pardon me for a second. Okay, we're back after a short pause. The Hanged Man. Literally was the last card I looked on my deck. So the current situation was the Hanged Man. It was, either on the low energy, the willing sacrifice, or to look at things in a different way. And I think, again, the fly landing on his head gave us a message to look at Mike Pence in a different, maybe harsher light. That, he puts himself out as this moral, honest, aw shucks, good old boy, down-to-earth person, and he's not. He's as corrupt, if not more corrupt, than the rest of them. And this was calling that out. Not only Pence, but Trump as well. But it was calling out people just to show them, to have them look at this person in a different light. Instead of purity, it's rot. Instead of honesty, it's lies and filth. The overarching message was the Fool card. That Mike Pence and Donald Trump, they were foolish. They had power. They had the opportunity to... they really did have the opportunity to change the government and change the way Washington did things. He had a mandate from the masses. He was a political outsider. He really could have done some amazing work, but didn't. And then we get the Ace of Cups upside down. Okay, so reverse on the Ace of Cups. So instead of strong emotional, it's like, overly emotional, immaturity. And tell me that doesn't describe Trump, right? He's a 72-year-old toddler. Anything that any adversity, he just whines and kicks his feet, and he's so poorly treated, and it's everybody else's fault. It's not my fault ever. No, he's in his terrible twos and terrible threes, and he's never had to change. So why change? It's worked for him all these years. And that was the lesson to be learned. Mike Pence hitched his wagon to a foolish, immature person who's that's what the Hangman is for. Mike Pence was a willing sacrifice. Who would sacrifice Mike Pence in order to stay in power? Mike Pence. We didn't know that yet. That was coming. I guess maybe that was the message also, is that we were going to find out just how much of a toddler-in-chief Donald Trump was, and what lengths he would go to maintain his power, to stay out of trouble. And if that means sacrificing your vice president to an angry mob, well, Mike Pence should have known better. Outcome? is the, let's see, that's the emperor. How comes the emperor? Now, Trump would have been a wannabe dictator, but I think it's also us sitting back and looking at judging this whole situation harshly. No, really in the light of day, very stone-faced, and looking at this situation. You know, the emperor could be a mentor, and it could be a very benevolent person. But in this case, there was that fly, again, was showing the corruption and the decay that was going on in there. And now it's time for change. And it's going to need to be powerful change and in the seat of the emperor. So starting with the presidency and the vice presidency. And I think by that change, it means gutting some of the powers that the president has. Because from what we saw, the president has too much power. There's too much deferring to the executive branch. And it's taken the balance of power out of the equation. It's balanced it. It's out of balance. We have an out of balance power in the White House. And that needs to change. And then underneath it we have, what card is this? It doesn't even give me the number on it. We'll have to figure this one out. This looks like the Six of Wands kind of, sort of, doesn't it? I'll have to sort out what that card is. That's the vibe underneath this reading. It's kind of the moving away card. Why didn't I get a number with this? The second card underneath it is also the Nine of Cups. So it's also our wishes and dreams fulfilled. So in looking at this, why did that fly land on Mike Pence's head? Let's take this all together now. It was to deliver a message, and that, you can think of that coin as being like the fly, and it was about hope versus hopelessness, and the fly was the star of that reading because we were all talking about the fly at the end. The fly was a heaven-sent message for all of us that there's going to be some change in order. The current administration was not on track, and therefore was divinely going to be taken out of power. We needed to look at Mike Pence and Donald Trump in a new light. For many of us, we looked at him in the same light, but maybe for independents and some moderate Republicans, they got to see things in a different way that maybe they hadn't looked at before. But it was also a harbinger of what was to come with Donald Trump sacrificing Mike Pence, if that's what it was going to be to come into power. And think of the message he gave to Mike Pence. You obviously didn't fight hard enough, just like Kevin McCarthy. It was a foolish thing to do, and it sent Trump, basically the whole Trump administration, that whole 4 years was just a waste of time. It could have been a new adventure, but he couldn't overcome his emotional immaturity to actually do something for the benefit of society as a whole. And so what's happening, he's going to be removed from power, and a new power is coming in. And certainly I think we could say Joe Biden has been a lot more empathetic and a lot more willing to work, but I think there needs to be more that's done. We need to really look hard at the executive branch and what we're going to do with our government and our executive branch going forward. Okay, so that's my reading on the fly and Mike Pence. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Again, this I don't use this deck very often, so I have to look at some of those cards and really do some research on them to figure out what the heck they are. And I don't, yeah. And this deck is harsh. It is, to me, very black and white, and tells me what it is that we need to hear from this. I won't use it too often, but when I do, it's maybe I'm in a little bit of a mood. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Leave comments, questions if you have them. Do the like and subscribe and all the YouTubey stuff. I really appreciate it. I think we might pass 600 subscribers this weekend. Sorry if I'm focusing on that, but I'm just excited for that last little push here as we move on into the week. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch you on the next reading. Have a great day. Bye-bye.